What's going on, everybody? What's going on? It's your boy Chris Howard. We are back for another one. This is the Everyday Journal. And listen, today I want to talk about it's really just you and God, right? All the distractions, all of the people who talk, all of the all of the naysayers, all of anything, right? At the end of the day, you have to have your personal relationship with God. I know what people want to call him the most high, Yah, whatever have you. At the end of the day, I just feel like there's a million religions heading to one destination, and that's God, right? So I want to give you a backstory on one story of my life that God kind of like spoke to me, and it was just really just me and him in that moment. It was like a really, really dark time in my life before I think I had my first daughter at that time. And I was going through a lot with, her mom. I was going through a lot with my living situation, my mom, my finances. I was just down and out. I was damn near homeless. I didn't really have nowhere to live. I was working a job, but the job was paying me pennies, whatever have you. And I didn't have nowhere to live. And, I was asking God, just guide me through this and, you know, help me out with my situation. Like my grandparents, I grew up with my grandmother, my grandfather, and they weren't church people, but they were spiritual people. And my grandmother always taught me, to just talk to God. Like he's your best friend. And I never understood it until now, on what that actually meant. Through all the stories of my life, excuse me, drink my tea before I get into the story. Through all the stories in my life, and there's been many, many, many stories. And like I said, this is why I want you guys to get to know me through this Everyday Journal channel. One of the stories is I was really down and out in life. Like I said, my finances, my relationship with my mom, my girl, my living situation was just not good at all in any aspect. And I had nowhere to live. I did have a little piece of car that I might have paid like $300-400 for. And I tried to get an apartment. And when the apartment was affordable at that time, I believe it was like $500 a month. And this lets you know how old I am. But the apartment was like $500 a month. Everything was included. It came furnished. And I was like, yes, like, let's make this happen. So I think I found it like in a newspaper or something. And when I went to go look at the apartment, oh my gosh. When I went to look at the apartment, crack city, it was like apartment building full of like drug addicts and just straight fiends. So I went to look at the apartment. The door screeched open as soon as I walked in. And it was like the rugs were just like filthy, full of like, it just smelled like straight crack aroma inside of here. Like if crack had an insect, that would have been in that apartment that day. And I'm looking around, the fridge was nasty, the bed looked like someone might have got shot in it. It was like the rugs were disgusting, the walls were disgusting, like everything. I walked in there and I just immediately felt disgusted. And I was just like, this is all that I can afford. I need somewhere to sleep. And I just looked around and I'm like, hell no, this is not my life. This is not what I want to be. This is not who I want to be. This is not the way I'm going to end up. And if I sleep here one night, it's over for me. Like I have no hope. So when that happened, I told the guy like, "Hey, I'll call you later. I'm definitely gonna move in." Definitely knew I wasn't. And then I just left and I called my shout out to my aunt Janine. She let me come stay with her. I told her what I can give her a week. It still was gonna make me struggle, but I wasn't gonna be living in that damn apartment. Even though I wanted my own place bad, there was no way I was gonna sleep there. So that was like my first spark of like me realizing like you want a better life. Like that wasn't for you. That wasn't you. So whatever have you, I just started, going to work, trying to figure out more things. Like I said, I had a car and then I just started hustling, like trying to find many different ways to make money. And like I always say, I was an entrepreneur before the word because I was kind of forced to because I situations like that. I always wanted my own. I always wanted more. I always knew I had more in me. I always knew I wasn't this person that other people might have wanted me to look like or put make me out to be. I always knew I had something else in me. So I was grinding and then I started doing, more music. I started doing shows. I started throwing parties. I started hosting events and I started promoting like concerts. I started promoting shows. So one day, and this was a crazy affirmation for me. One day I called the club owner and I'm like, hey, I think I was trying to bring like Young M.A. out or something like that. I was trying to bring an artist out. I don't know who it was. And I called him. He was like, okay, yeah, let's meet up. Meet me at the club at 6 o'clock and let's go over everything. So, and this was the first time I was kind of like really at that club. Like I might have seen the club before, but this was the first time I was like really like, going to see that club and do business. So went there and the owner was like, hey, I'm gonna be like 20 minutes late. And I'm like, cool, no problem. It was a nice day out. So I got out my car, just listening to music and my phone. And then all of a sudden, God said, look up. And I looked up and across the street was that apartment that I did not want to move into. And I just looked to the sky. I was like, God, you are a straight comedian. Oh my gosh. Like, and then I just made me look at my life then, like, wow, like I'm working a better job. I got a better car. I got money in my pocket. I'm throwing shows. I'm happy. I'm moving around. I'm doing things. And then I just looked at that apartment like, man, where would I have been if I would have just took that apartment and stayed there? And it still looked at cruddy, like, no disrespect to the people that live in that building, but the people just looked, like everyone was on drugs. And those are the people I would have been surrounded by. But God just said, look up. And I looked up and I was just like, man, thank you. I appreciate that. Like, and it's so crazy is like the guy ended up canceling on me and I didn't even get mad. It was just like God needed me there for that reason. Like he was like, come over here. Let me show you what you're doing now and let me show you what you did before or what you were into before. And let me show you what I did for you. And I was just like, man, like I said, me and my grandmother used to always do that. We used to always look to the sky and talk to God. And that's what I did. I looked to the sky and I was like, man, it was like a breathtaking moment. Like literally I was moving around so much and doing so much. I totally forgot about that apartment. Like I totally forgot about it. There's no reason for me to remember it anyway, but I totally forgot about it. And I was just looking like, wow, like damn, look what God did. Like there's no way I could have did that totally on my own. Because if I was totally on my own, I would have just probably taken the apartment and just fell into whatever that was. But like I said, God is like your ultimate spiritual guide, man. And if you could just listen to him and tap in and trust, he got you, man. You don't got to trip at all. He got you all the way. Even when times get hard, like it might seem like we're all in the school of God, man. And if we can just use his word and use his energy and use his spirit as a guidance, we'll pass the test every time and you'll be like wowed every time at yourself and what he can do for you. And that was like, that's my story, man. That's what I wanted to bring, a story today from my past, because I have a lot of stories like that. And, you know, God allowed me to survive a lot of stories as well. And I think it's time for me to tell those stories in the form of this show, in the form of there's some other things I want to do, produce, some films, and, you know, just give him all the glory in everything I do. Like, and I'm far from perfect. I do not 1 second want anyone to think that I'm perfect. I fall short of him all the time. But at the end of the day, where I'm at in my life now, I know that he always catered my steps to get me to this point right now. So I don't want people to judge me. I mean, you can judge me if you want. I know who the ultimate judge is, but at the end of the day, I know that it's just really me and him. And he's the only one that can judge me. And he's the only one that can get me through anything. Like sometimes people, they reach out to other people for help, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But it's a different energy when you can connect with God and hear it directly from him. And sometimes he uses other people. It all depends on where you are in your life and what level. And I just say, like, if you can find it with just him and use other people as well, but mainly connect with him, man, it's just such a breathtaking feeling when he speaks to you, through stories, through situations, through hardships, through people, through anything. And when you can listen and hear him, it's a beautiful thing, man. It's breathtaking. So find your connection with, God, and ask him to lead the way. Ask him to cater your steps. Ask him to show you the way. Let him know he already knows that we're not perfect. Like I said, I fall short all the time. And, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm holier than thou. I'm way far from it. But I do know my relationship with God, and I do know that he knows me and he does guide me through a lot of situations. So, yeah, I just wanted to bring that story to light. That's something I'm reflecting on. And like I said, there's many stories, and I'm going to be giving out more stories like that. But if that story resonated with you, I want to hear from you guys as well. Comment below about a time or a situation where, God kind of got you through something like that and guided you through something like that. Um, yeah, so that's where we at with it today. This is the Everyday Journal with your boy Chris Howard. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let me know some things you want. If you got any questions for me or you want to know any stories, man, I'm an open book right now, and I'm willing to give it to you all. Give it all I got. I'm here. I'm with you. Let's take this journey together. It's your boy Chris Howard back for another one. Peace and all praise to God.